Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by COOLBET Canada.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Back to another golf episode with The Lock Shop. Dusty and Huss back with you once again. The Lock Shop brought to you by our great partners over at COOLBET on the Nielsen Media COOLBET Network. Huss, what's up, my man? How you doing today?
Well, what's up right now, Dusty, is I'm looking forward to getting into this Charles Schwab tournament, Colonial. But I'll be honest, I need to maybe have some of your picks rub off on me. I'm in a bit of a cooler right now. And
are you? Oh, no.
People need... Listen, I had the over last night. Vegas scores 3 goals right away. Up to 4-0, like in the first 25 minutes of the game, and then nothing for the rest of the way. And then, I mean, I don't know, I'll get your take on this and maybe Pat's as well. Right as we stick a fork in the Celtics, they're done.
I know.
And I jump on the Heat for the daily pick. What happens? The Celtics decide to pull an Undertaker last night and are back in it. By the way, like right now, the series price after the game last night,
3-1,
the Celtics
3-1 series.
Celtics are only plus 245 to win.
Really?
The Heat are minus 323. The Heat last night going into game 4 were minus 1429. There is a lot of people, and listen, the odds will tell you as much. It is not that far-fetched to think about the Celtics coming back in this series. So
it is.
I don't know.
There's no way Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler allow the Celtics to come back and win this series. I mean, it just takes... I don't see it. I mean, the odds makers obviously think there's still a chance here for the Boston Celtics, but it didn't happen. Didn't happen last night for the Miami Heat. Boston at home. I mean, it wouldn't even surprise me if this Boston team loses at home. Like they dropped the first 2 at home. So,
maybe that's the play tomorrow. Just going the opposite way, taking the Heat plus 250 in Boston right now. The game 7, if they don't win tomorrow, their game 7 is going to be game 6 at home. I think it's safe to say to that. And I don't know. I will. How are you feeling about this hockey game tonight? Because we don't have a hoops game tonight.
Yeah.
I dove into baseball last night and figured, well, the Jays are playing terrible. They're going against the Rays. Let's just take the Rays. Like that was the real smack in the face. 20-1. The Jays finally, all it took for the Jays to snap out of it was for me to support the Tampa Bay Rays in that game. So,
I feel like I'd probably lean Carolina tonight. Like Carolina hasn't played poorly in this series. We had Jamie McLennan on my show this morning, and Noodles is like, I think Carolina's probably been the better team through 3 games, and they're down 3-0 because Florida. I mean, Bobrovsky's been absolutely brilliant, and Florida scored some clutch goals. So I think that's kind of what you see tonight. What Florida at home to finish the series is like minus 113, and Carolina's a minus number as a slight dog here as well. So I think I'd probably side with Rod Brindamore and the Carolina Hurricanes to get one. They're not climbing back in this series either. Bobrovsky will shut it down at some point, Huss. But at the same time, how do you bet against the Florida Panthers right now?
Well, I'm going to. I think that's. I'm going to do exactly that. I like the fact that you're leaning this way. Usually, when we're on the same side, we've got a good track record of being on the same side and getting it in. So. I've been stressing about the daily pick. Follow COOLBET Canada on your social platforms. We'll crank that one out a little later on today. But yes, Carolina minus 103 tonight to extend the series, and the Panthers minus 114. The big question, and this will be something we can talk about with Pat.
Let's bring him in.
How banged up will Brooks Koepka be at the Panthers game tonight? Patty, what's up?
I was trying to find a Brooks Koepka to miss the cut, and then I was like, "Oh wait, it's the live. They don't get there's no cuts on the live. That's the beauty of this thing." But he is on an all-time heater. Heard you guys talking about how just crushed whatever substance he was under at the Panthers game. It sounds like I heard that he was possibly going to be at the Heat game last night as well. So
yeah.
We got to get some sort of odds on him to just absolutely blow up. And again, he doesn't really care about these events anyways. It's all about his majors, and he's proven that. And just so you guys do know, and just so the lock shoppers do know, CoolBet does have odds for live golf. I know we don't push it too hard, but you can definitely get in on the action. I don't know after a major if that's the tournament you want to look at, but maybe leading into the U.S. Open, maybe that's something that you look at to bet a guy like Brooks or DJ, or even a guy like Taylor Gooch has been heating up on the live tour. But no doubt, I think Brooksy is going to be enjoying this week, enjoying his win, and I could definitely say that probably not going to be a great showing in Washington, D.C.
No, he wishes there is a cut on live just so he could miss it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's realizes he's got to go and play 3 rounds at Trump, whatever, the Trump course out in D.C. And I am looking at right now, and he is a co-favorite with Cam Smith at 9-1. But I don't think that there'll be a lot people that pay attention that are in the know. I don't think they're going to be supporting Brooks this week. No. Gooch is interesting. He's at 18-1, and he'll be a guy that'll be heavily motivated to come back and have a good one after absolutely blowing up at the PGA Championship. Quickly, before we get into it, I mean, what did you think of Brooks's win? Your guy Vic was so close, man. He was so close. I mean, he made the same mistake as Corey Connors did on 16 on Saturday, which was something else. But I mean, Brooks, and shout out to Dusty again, 22-1.
If you look at the week before when Pat joined us, he was on Jason Day. So technically, I mean, if you've listened to Lock Shop golf episodes, that's 2 in a row that we've delivered here, right?
Yeah,
so
my turn this week. It's my turn this week.
It's time to step up, Huss, you slacker.
But yeah, it was an awesome tournament. Despite the rain on Saturday, I still thought it was a super eventful major. But let's be honest, that was Brooks' tournament to lose, and unlike what we saw from him at the Masters, there was a little bit of pressure from Scotty and a little bit of pressure from Vic. But it just seemed like there was never really a doubt after Saturday with Brooks. He was dialed. He looked like big game Brooks, the guy that just goes into majors and finds ways to win. And that's kind of just the guy he is. I think it's an absolute nightmare for the PGA that, just in our second major after this whole live nonsense kind of rolls up, he's the winner. But for me, as a golf fan, as someone who consumes a lot of golf content, I'm all in for it. I'm back on the Brooks train. I had him to win in the Masters last event, so I was absolutely crushed that he wasn't able to finish it off. Dusty, when you gave out your pick, I ended up riding on him. I didn't get him as good as a number as you guys did, as it was a couple of a day after, I think, when I listened to the episode and placed the bet. Vic, though, again, if he doesn't absolutely nuke that ball into the bunker, I don't know if he still finds a way to win. But we'll obviously get into it a little bit later. But there's not too many golfers playing better than Vic Hovland right now, especially in the big events. He is starting to give me those vibes as a guy that when the big tournament comes around, he brings out his best golf. And we know elite ball striker, a guy that you're just kind of waiting to break out. When is that breakout going to happen? It's just a matter of time, I think, until he gets a big win and maybe goes on a little bit of a run.
We're going to get to our picks coming up a bit later on. Huss and I will discuss a possible partner parlay here as well, Patty. But what are you on for this Charles Schwab challenge?
Well, I already mentioned his name, so we'll go with Hovland. I talked about how he just keeps getting better and better every time he steps onto the golf course. We know he's an elite ball striker, one of the best iron play on tour, but now he's starting to develop a short game. He's adding more tricks to his bag. And again, that performance that we saw him have last week, you pair it up with the Masters as well. It seems like he's the type of guy that has a little bit of a hangover after a big event, but just the way he's been playing at 17-1, I had to hammer that one, especially when you look at a lot of other books. He's down to 14, 13, and even 12-1. I haven't seen a better price on Hovland than CoolBet. The other one, another guy that I like to hammer as well, Tommy Fleetwood. Again, sticking with the theme of elite ball striking. In his last 3 starts, he's gained in each of the 4 major stroke gain categories. So off the tee, approach, around the green, and putting. So we know, obviously, all those major categories certainly come to play. Yes, they're analytics. They don't mean everything, right? But certainly indication of how the golfer is doing in all facets of the area. This here isn't a bomber's course by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of dog legs, but ball striking, finding fairways, that's going to be big and great play around the green. So I think that kind of matches up with Fleetwood. Again, I'm also betting the number here at 33-1. I really, really like that number for Fleetwood. Finished T18 last week at the PGA, T5 at the Wells Fargo, and then a T15 at the RBC Heritage. Really, really like him at that number. I also like him at a couple other placing bets for him to finish in the top 20 and the top 10. And then I'm going back to Old Faithful, and maybe this is me buying low, but I'm going back with Max Homa. I know he was absolutely garbage.
Yeah.
Really squandered a chance, finished T55, but it started like he was looking like he was trending in the right direction. He had that T8 at Wells Fargo. It looked like he was kind of rounding into shape. But let's not forget, this guy has 6 top 10 finishes this year, 3 in the top 5, and 2 victories this season. This is an elite player. And when we haven't even talked about the field yet, I'm sure you guys will dive into it a little bit more. There's a lot of big names in this field. I think this is going to be one of the top 10 guys that come away with it. I really do. I know I just talked about Hovland and Fleetwood, but I do feel like this is going to be a big name, a trendy name that wins this tournament, just because there are so many big names out here. I'm going to go with Max. I know it goes kind of against what I normally do because I'm so big into recent form, and recent form hasn't been friendly to Max. But at 27-1. I had to take this one here.
It's funny you say that because I kind of looking at guys that were underwhelming, shall we say, at the PGA Championship to come in. I mean, if we're looking, and we may as well get to this right now, Dusty. I mean, Scotty Scheffler is the clear favorite, as he should be in this field, at plus 450. Spieth at 15-1. And then Tony Finau, my guy who had a disappointing PGA, and Vic are 17-1. Those are the only 4 players less than 20-1. Although the number on Morikawa, and I'm going to get to this in a minute, great at CoolBet. I've seen the best I've seen elsewhere is 18-1. And Morikawa's got a 20 on it. Sung Jae, of course, had a very forgettable PGA Championship. He was 22. Homa's at 27. And then Rose, interesting, has dropped a little bit. We'll talk about him in a minute as well at 28, and Sam Burns at 30. And Fleetwood, as you just mentioned, at 33, along with Ricky Fowler, who had been so consistent coming into the PGA Championship, missed the cut by 1 stroke. You'd have to think that he'll be coming back. But this is a tournament, I think, you can make an argument that it might be a little more wide open for a guy that had come off the radar. But considering the way a number of these guys played last week at the PGA, Dusty, I don't know about you. I kind of feel like we are going to be looking at a guy that won't be a really, really long shot to win this. And frankly, some guys that can come in and really build off disappointing performances the PGA for what they're able to do.
Have you looked at my Sanjay pick already? Is that what this is? Did you know? Did you know I was gonna go back to him? But yeah, no. I mean, I think you make a really good point there. Patty, anything else, John? Any top 10s or anything else that jumps off the page you want to hit him?
Well, first I'll get into my exclusive. I always like to throw out my Greggy Golf specials. Last week we just missed out, but take those 3 players that I just talked about, all of them to finish in the top 20. So Homa, Fleetwood, Hovland finish the top 20 plus 900. I really like that number. I know it's a competitive field, but I at that number, I think it's definitely worth to play. The other bet that I like, and maybe this is me being a sucker, a true buy into the narrative, and you can join me if you want, but I'm going back to the block party. Michael Block to make the cut at plus 230. Give me all the good vibes coming off the PGA Championship. I know he's probably going to come down to earth, but if you're going to cheer against Michael Block, you got a big dump in your pants. What a great story that was at the PGA. It's crazy that we're just talking about him right now, because really, what an unbelievable story that was. Might be one of the best sports stories of the year. So I'm going to ride with him. Plus, it is. It really is. And I want the movie to continue.
Yeah.
I want the movie to continue. Plus 230.
Tin Cup 2, the Block Party.
yeah, exactly.
Well, but I'll say this though. Shout out to COOLBET for having legitimate lines. Like, I saw after he was entered and confirmed in the Colonial, like there were books that were hanging like 40, 50 to 1 on him. He's 300 to 1 to win at COOLBET. So if you really want to swing for the fences on the movie continuing, we got 300 to 1 to win the tournament. 40 to 1 top 5, 20 to 1 top 10, and 7 to 1 to make it top 20. But I am sort of with you. I think a victory would be playing into the weekend. And listen, for a guy like that, most of these guys that are playing on the PGA Tour doing quite well financially. Club pros are in a different stratosphere right now. I mean, you got to do a lot of $150 an hour lessons to make $120 like he did. So I'm sort of with you too. And then Pat, of course, he's also going to be in the RBC Canadian Open, which is coming up at the beginning of next month.
I'm super stoked. Really so stoked about that. Keep your eyes peeled as well to the promotions tab coming up soon. We will have our bet and get promotion for the Canadian Open and the US Open. Basically what it'll be is you place a futures bet at the Canadian Open. The following week, the US Open, you'll get a free bet that. So keep your eyes to that promotion tab. Always keep your eyes out for the promotion tab. It's shameless plug for the NLL right now, fellas. It's the NLL Cup starting this weekend. Buffalo, Colorado rematch from last year. If you go to the promotions tab right now, we do have a promotion for the NLL for you. If you do place a $20 bet on the NLL this weekend, you'll get a $10 free bet for the following weekend. But it's not just for NLL, for anything on the sports book. So if you're looking for just a little bit of fun, something to throw on, new to National Lacrosse League, want to get in on that action, watch the game on TSN maybe, flip that on, place a little bet, and then you'll get a free $10 bet for wherever you want in the sports book the next week.
Oh, by the way, we kind of gave you some props in absence last week as Jake was on, but another nomination for the NLL Media Person of the Year. Congratulations on that. What do we do to publicly support you? Can we stack a ballot box or something to get back or what?
So unfortunately, the votes have already been tallied. I did not win this year. Didn't go back to back, but it's a minor setback for a major comeback next year. No,
that's
in all seriousness,
I don't want to give it to somebody back years. Don't
exactly. The Gregoire. Exactly. Yeah, the Gregoire fatigue. Exactly. No, but in all seriousness, thank you. I really do appreciate the support from you guys and all the cool bettors. I know a lot of people are super stoked. A lot of people came to COOLBET. You know, they're new bettors, but they want to get in on the action on NLL, and now there's, you know, we've got odds for the Western Lacrosse League, which is the summer senior A loop. We've got Premier Lacrosse League, which is the field lacrosse professional league. And then we've even got NCAA Division I men's odds for this weekend. We are no doubt the best lacrosse sports book, not just in Canada, but in the world.
Hey, I got a quick question for you before you run. We are all fired up here in the Peg for the debut of the Winnipeg Sea Bears in the CEBL, the Canadian Elite Basketball League. I know, Dusty, you've had the Stingers
we got the Stingers. They open up on Sunday here at home. Yeah.
We're going to be setting the Winnipeg is going to set an attendance record for the league in game number 1 on Saturday night. The team's playing at Canada Life Center. It's going to be great. Will we have CEBL lines at any point this year for the cool bettors out there?
I mean, we can certainly look into it. That wasn't on the docket, but hey, you know how quickly these guys work. I'm sure we could get to something. First, though, we got to take care of your guys' partner parlay.
That's
second,
right.
Then we'll look into CEBL. But hey, we know Winnipeg supports their team so well, so I'm not surprised. But yeah, let me talk to some of the guys. some of the odds makers, and we'll see what we can do for CEBL.
I think this league, I really think this league is, I mean, trending in now. It's getting into some more markets. It's a little bit more established. Again, it's a shorter season over the course of the summer.
Yeah.
But it's also a great time. I mean, we're begging. I was just saying to Dusty off air beforehand. I mean, I need the CFL to start. Like, I need to get into football. Like, right now, we've got like one hockey or one basketball game a night. Obviously, there's lots of baseball going on. Golf on Wednesday is a highlight every week, but you know, to get us through till NFL season, you know, little hoops that we could be paying attention to. And I know TSN, much like the NLL, is doing some games on TV as well, so might be a good thing to get in. We've got leagues. Like, listen, if you do want to bet hoops, COOLBET's a good spot. I'm looking. There's about 20 different countries leagues that are there, so. We get
I was going to say you got every other country in the world, so it's just a matter of time to the CEBL gets in there.
I was looking for futures. I'm like, listen, I have no idea what this league, what's going to come, but what are the Sea Bears who have never even played a game to win the championship? So
tough to lay
anyways,
that out
let us know if that is the case. We'll definitely fire it up on Winnipeg Sports Talk and here on the Lock Show.
Let's not be serious here. Like, you would no doubt sprinkle a little bit on the Estonian Mestra Liga basketball if it really got boring enough for you.
Wide world of sports.
We know Wild World. Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, I can't wait for that to come back.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know, considering the way my picks have been over the last few days, I might take Tartu Uli Cool plus 10.5 over BC 11 in their matchup coming up a little later on today. So, by the way, right now, KK Vlimsy is up 19, but you can get them at minus 17.5. That is a live bet right now against KK Parnu Saddam in the Estonian basketball league right now on COOLBET.
Oh, good stuff.
I love it.
Patty, as always, buddy. Really appreciate it, man. Thanks for popping by.
Thanks, guys. Always appreciate coming on, and I'm excited to hear your guys' pick, and I will be riding the partner parlay regardless who's on there.
Let's see how
we
it
might
goes.
use one of your guys in it. We might make it a true partner parlay as we.
I'm in for it. I'm in for it. Let's do it.
The last 5 minutes has just got me fired up for the wide world of wagering now. Wide world of wagering season, to be honest with you.
It's true. We got to get back to that. See you later, Patty. There goes Pat Gregoire from COOLBET. Haas, we need that, man. I used to love sitting here watching you talk about Aussie rules and all that shit. It was a good time. That was a lot of fun. We'll put together the parlay. Let's go through our picks here. I don't mind throwing Hovland in here somewhere for sure. I mean, I love the fact that Pat went back to him. Morikawa's been a sexy pick. I've seen him popping up in a few different places, Huss. Tell me about Morikawa this week.
Well, listen, it's been a minute since Colin Morikawa's won. And you know, I mean, he was sniffing around for a while at the PGA Championship, but faded like so many others did at Oak Hill. But I think there are some glimpses that he is at a position, drop a few more putts, and I mean, he could be right there on Sunday. And the bottom line is, when he is in contention, he's a guy that's shown that he can win. He can pull it off. It's not a guy that, you know, he's a top 5 pick. He's a top 10 pick. And I have a feeling he's seen the likes of Scotty Scheffler and Brooks Koepka and John Rahm sort of take that mantle as, you know, this super elites right now in the game. It wasn't too long ago that Colin Morikawa was really thought to be that guy, and I think he got as high as number 2 in the world. So with a course like this that is not completely dependent on smashing it 350 yards off the tee, we know that Colin Morikawa has, I mean, as great iron play as just about anybody right now in professional golf. I think that there's some real value on Morikawa, especially at COOLBET with the 20-1 number, which, as I said, is better than just about anywhere else. So I'm going to ride with Colin Morikawa, and similar to what we talked about before, I haven't gone way down the list. You know, we're looking at some of the guys that have some of the better odds, although I think still some value at 20-1 for Morikawa and my other 2 picks at 30-1. Both of these players that I'm going to mention right now have won this tournament before. Sam Burns, in fact, is the defending champion. Sam Burns stunk at the PGA. He killed a lot of people's make the cut parlays, myself included. But we've also seen him get hot and really be able to put some great rounds together as a former winner on the PGA Tour and a guy that won the Dell Match Play earlier this year. He strikes me as a guy that can put a real tough major in the rearview mirror. And if anything, going back to a place that he's got some good vibes and good course history at, being the defending champ, turning this around and getting right back onto the top page of the leaderboard and being there on Sunday. So I'm going to go with Sam Burns. And to be honest, Justin Rose, I think, might be the sneakiest pick of them all. I mean, Rosie has had a very, very good year. He's been in the mix, and he was right there for a good portion of the PGA Championship. This is also a place where he's won, although he's a little more farther removed from his win than Sam Burns is right now. I'm seeing the number. There's obviously a few people agreeing with me because the number since last night has actually dropped to 28-1. But I can't say that I don't think that that's fair odds for a guy that, has done it before, has been very, very consistent this year. And if you saw him play at the PGA, has a game in very, very good shape right now. So I'm not taking Tony, although it wouldn't surprise me if Tony has a big, big bounce back. I just didn't think the number was good enough. Although I think when this opened, I think Tony was at like 12-1. And I think he's dropped, was 14, 16. Now it's 17 right there with Vic. And I'll be honest, as much as I love Vic, I'm a little hesitant. I think that there has to be some emotional baggage that just comes from an event like this. So as great as I think he is, and can he play with all of those guys? Absolutely not going him. And even Scotty Scheffler, let's not forget, Scotty played the week before the PGA Championship as well. Was played well, but just came up short. And I mean, frankly, he probably should have won this tournament if he just sank a few putts on Saturday, because he had great rounds on Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. And funny enough, the one time I go away from the outrights and pick top tens with Brooks and Scheffler, they finish 1-2 in the event as opposed to usually pick them on outright. But back to this event at Colonial, Morikawa 20-1, and I'm in at 30-1 on Burns and Rose, although Rose is now 28-1 for this tournament as we speak, doing the Lock Shop Live right now.
I'm going to follow up my strategy of last week of taking Brooks Koepka at a major and just take Jordan Spieth at Colonial. I mean, The guy has been automatic here. He's got 9 finishes of 14th or better in 10 career starts. He's won it once. He's finished second 3 times. I mean, Jordan Spieth crushes this course, crushes this event. You get him at 15-1 right now. Now, he missed Byron Nelson because of that wrist injury, but came back last week and actually improved all the way throughout the week. He went 73, 72, 71, and then finished with a 69. So if the wrist was causing significant issues, I mean, I don't think he would have played as well as he did last week, and he might have taken this one off, even though it is basically, anytime he goes there, he's cashing a massive, massive, massive check. So Spieth has the best history you can have here. He's won more money at this event than anybody else, and you're going to get him at 15-1. So I'm going to get on Jordan Spieth this week. I'm also going to get on Sanjay. Again, I'm going back to everything I said heading into last week. With the exception of this course plays very well for him, right? You don't have to be a bomber here. You just have to have it locked in. You can look at last week and go traveling back. I mean, it wasn't good. Obviously, a disaster there early last week at the PGA Championship. But prior to that, 3 straight top 8s. I mean, the course sets up really well for him. So I like Sanjay and a bounce back here. I feel like this is one of those situations where I really loved the guy last week. It didn't go well. And if I went away from him, I'd be like, damn it, I was a week off on Sanjay M. So I'm going to go on Sanjay here as well. And then Russell Henley's an interesting one at 40-1, a little bit of a longer shot, but still struggled mightily in January and February, but was excellent in March and April. Finished T4 at the Masters, missed the cut last week, but this is another thing, very much like Sanjay. Henley's not a bomber off the tee, right? This is a course that would set up here for Henley more so than some of these other longer courses. Since March 12th, let's say the Players Championship, T19, Match Play T17, Masters T4, RBC Heritage T19. So it's a steady diet of top 20s here, and then missed a cut last week, so a bounce back there. I like the fact for Sanjay especially that he missed a cut, and he's going to have a little bit more rest coming into this week as well. So him and Henley, two guys that this course is very much suited for, and Jordan Spieth is a guy who's just torched this event year after year after year. So Spieth at 15-1, him at 22-1, Henley at 40-1. You mentioned Morikawa. I like your Morikawa pick. I'm very comfortable putting Morikawa into a top 10, maybe in a partner parlay, Huss. What else are you thinking here? I'm also with Tony if we want to get some action on Tony, or unless we just want to stick with our picks.
I do have two other picks. I am going to take I've bet Justin Rose for a top 10 at plus 260. And the other guy that I do expect that we'll be talking about on the weekend that had been 4 or 5 straight top 20s heading into the PGA is Ricky Fowler. And Ricky Fowler's at plus 130 as a top 20.
He's the top name on my list here, Ricky Fowler, top 20. So I'm 100% on board with you with Ricky Fowler.
Okay, so why don't we take Ricky for a top 20?
Okay.
Let's see the numbers here. So Rose is plus 120 for top 20, as is Sam Burns. I think consider I'm taking the Rose pick. I think I'd probably go with Rose. And I did make the right choice last week when I was deciding between Tony and Cam Smith for our partner parlay.
Yeah.
How about that final round from Cam to get into the top 10?
That was big. I would rather Rose than Burns here as well. So we can put top 20 for Rose, is what you're thinking?
Yeah, top 20 for Rose, top 20 for Ricky. And then, if we want to go top 10, Henley obviously gives us the best number. Henley is 40, so he's plus 160 on the book right now. If we wanted to go, Sanjay is minus 110, and Spieth's a lot chalkier at minus 143.
And we're talking top 10?
I'm talking top 20s. But
top 20, another top 20. Yeah, I think Sanjay bounces back. I don't know where your level of faith is in Sanjay, but I think this is a course that suits him very well, coming in off some rest. But he screwed it. He didn't work last week. We had him in there last week. So Spieth's a little too chalky, I think, to get into a top 20. We could go Spieth top 10. What's the number on Spieth top 10?
Spieth top 10 is plus 160.
That's better.
Spieth top 10. What would you rather? Basically, it's the same number. Henley top 20 or Spieth top 10? It's your call.
Spieth top 10. I go Spieth top 10.
All right. So Spieth top 10 plus Rose and Fowler top 20.
Okay. There we go.
There's our partner parlay. So
I'll text it to the boys. They're probably watching anyway, but
we'll get that up. Check the exclusives a little bit later on for the golf. And it'll probably come up under the Lock Shops tab, but in the exclusives, but for sure in for the Charles Schwab. It might be in there with Pat. Check out all Pat's exclusives and everything else they've got. And tell you what, maybe let's just quickly fire this up while we've got it, because we've got Charles Schwab Challenge exclusives. Okay, the first one is just the Greggy Golf Special, which is pretty nice. Hovland, Fleetwood, and Homa top 20 at plus 900. So the fact that we've got a plus 160, we have plus money on all three of these: Spieth top 10, Rose, and Fowler top 20. We might be able to get a number in and around Pat's as well. It was great though. If you had the Canadians to make the cut last time, obviously, it was a tough final round for Corey Connors. If you had him in top 10 or anything like that, which I didn't. But overall, Canadians really stepped up at that PGA, and I think that bodes very well. Cannot wait for the RBC Canadian Open coming up.
That's going to be fun. That's going to be really fun. Huss, Lock Shop play of the day coming out on social medias a little bit later on with COOLBET as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I might go Estonian basketball, but I think I'm going to end up going with that Canes Panthers game, and we'll see whether the Canes can do what the Celtics did last night and force a game 5 and at least maybe make things interesting. We'll have something to talk about as we get into the weekend.
Talk to you then, buddy. See you tomorrow.
Later.